Can you explain what Israel's interest is in this whole Syria thing? I imagine undermining Hezbollah has something to do with it, but I don't understand intra-Syrian politics enough to be clear on it. I'll just say, and then you can take it away, Ben, is that I do know that Israel, as some Israeli officials or Israeli think tank experts have said, that they love watching just basically Syrians kill each other. And, no matter which side it is, that they're happy to sit back and see this, and to see all the ensuing splits that this has caused inside Arab countries and, between Hamas and Syria. Syria was once a huge base for Hamas's support, but the Syrian proxy war caused a fissure there, if I have that right. And then also, I think the main Israeli interest is, as Daniel talks about, is, because Iran is there and because Hezbollah is there, they use it as an opportunity to launch, these hundreds of strikes inside of Syria, hundreds, which are just taken,
thousands on, actually.
It's just presumed that Israel has the right to do that. Imagine if Syria or Iran launched such strikes against Israel. And so they love any chance they can to go after Hezbollah and Iran, because basically, as Chomsky will say, that Israel does not want any deterrent to its use of aggression in the region. And Iran and Hezbollah are the biggest deterrents to that. So them being in Syria is a chance to weaken them. And this actually sets up a question for you here, Ben. Let me ask you a question, which is that, when I think about what was the interest in all these different factors in fueling this proxy war, I think about the parallels to Afghanistan, where basically the U.S. Entrapped the then Soviet Union into entering in a bid to weaken them. That was the explicit goal of the U.S. And I'm wondering, do you think that a U.S. motive here and a Saudi motive in launching this proxy war was in fact also similar to Afghanistan, by using jihadist proxies, like in Afghanistan, to use jihadist proxies here who do pose a threat to Iran, to use them to actually draw in Iran? That might have been not just an outcome of the Syrian proxy war, but a goal in a bid to bleed Iran in a place where they pretty much, you could argue, had no choice but to fight to defend themselves, because if they hadn't, then ISIS posed a very big threat to them.
Absolutely. So a few things here. I got up some articles. This is really important. So Israel's role in Syria has been crucial, and it's been downplayed. Here are some articles, once again, in notorious Assadist rags like the Times of Israel, acknowledging IDF chief finally acknowledges that Israel supplied weapons to Syrian rebels. So here we have outgoing IDF chief of staff Eisenkot acknowledged for the first time that Israel provided weaponry to Syrian rebel groups in the occupied Golan Heights. This is illegally occupied Syrian territory under international law. He said it was for self-defense. Now this is just beginning to scratch the surface. Now here's, no thank you, I don't want to pay you to give me money. Here, oh, look who's back. Our friend Elizabeth Terskov. This is the one who said the worst thing going on in Syria is not seeing photos of mutilated children. It's the men, the fact that it's so sad that they're now mutilating children. So she's back, this so-called expert, inside Israel's secret program to back Syrian rebels. Fighters were armed and paid to keep Iranian-linked forces away from Israel's border. But wait, there's more. Here is the Wall Street Journal, 2017. Israel gives secret aid to Syrian rebels. So there are so many reports acknowledging this is so obvious, it's so confirmed, we've known it for years, that Israel was supporting Syrian rebels, including extremist Salafi-jihadists. But it gets even worse. Just wait. Israel wasn't just supporting these so-called moderate rebels. Here is another Assadist rag, the Jerusalem Post, a right-wing Israeli newspaper. And meanwhile, here we go. Report, Israel treating al-Qaeda fighters wounded in Syria civil war. When is this from? 2015. 4 years ago. We've known for over 4 years that Israel was helping support al-Qaeda in Saudi Arabia. They don't even pretend to be moderate rebels. Nusra Front is the Sunni Muslim al-Qaeda offshoot, which is currently fighting the Iranian-backed Axis, the Axis of Bashar al-Assad and Hezbollah in Syria. So we've known for years now that Israel was supporting these extremist groups. And in fact, I want to show you one of the funniest things of all in the Syria war. This is incredible. Here we go. what happened is, so another thing that people have pointed out is that Israel, not only have they been supporting these rebels, but ironically, ISIS never attacked Israel. Isn't that interesting? Here's a report in The Independent, a major British newspaper. ISIS fighters attacked the IDF, the Israeli military, then apologized, claims former commander Moshe Yalon. So this is directly from not the mouth of the Syrian regime, not the mouth of Hezbollah. This is from a former leader of the IDF. He was saying, he was referring to an incident.
Ben, we have some requests for you not to clap.
I'm sorry.
I
get emotional.
Yes.
But I'm going to stop clapping. But anyway,
Yes.
Here we go. ISIS fighters attacked Israel and then apologized. So Israel's role, we have just begun in the past few years to see what Israel's role has been, but there's no question that Israel's involved. Now, why? I mean, I was just showing the evidence. And what I like about doing these live streams is we can show you all these things and we can post links to a lot of these articles and stuff. But look, why was Israel doing it? A few different reasons. Syria is one of the only countries in the region that continues to support Palestinian resistance forces. It's one of the only countries in the region that refuses to recognize Israel. Egypt long ago gave up on the Arab nationalist vision and normalized relations with Israel. Jordan is a U.S. puppet monarchy that obediently works with Israel. Iran and Syria are some of the only countries in the region, and Hezbollah to an extent that there is Lebanon to the extent that there is a state. I mean, Hezbollah is of course one of the major forces fighting against Israel. So Syria, which is allied with these forces, of course Israel wants to destabilize Syria, but also, as these people pointed out in these reports, Iranian-backed forces, not just Hezbollah, but also Iranian allied forces in Syria have been repeatedly attacked by Israel. Something else I didn't even mention is that Israel has admitted to carrying out thousands of airstrikes inside Syria. Now, what's crazy about this is, oh my God, here we go. So if you look this up, one of the first things that comes up in Google is the New York Times. Israel is blamed for deadly missile strikes in Syria. Israel is blamed? By that, the New York Times, of course, means that Israel attacked Syria, but you have to say Israel is blamed because you can't acknowledge the truth. But Israel has actually acknowledged that it has carried out thousands of attacks inside Syrian territory, going pretty far east, in fact, close to the Iraqi border. Here we go. Here's PBS. Israel publicly acknowledges its airstrikes in Syria. So think about this for a second. I'm gonna stop clapping. Sorry. Imagine if Iran carried out airstrikes inside Israel. Think about how much the world would freak out. Israel would use it as an excuse to nuke Iran, or at the very least to destroy Iranian infrastructure, to carry out a barrage of bombings. But Israel feels it has the right to attack Syria not once, not twice, but thousands of times over the past 8 years. And then if Syria ever responds, and at one point Syria did shoot down an Israeli plane, then it's portrayed as Syrian aggression. Much in the same way where if Palestinians respond to being held in an unlivable open-air prison in Gaza, where the UN says that it will be uninhabitable by 2020, which, by the way, oh yeah, that's next year. The UN has said that it's uninhabitable because 97% of the fresh water in Gaza is undrinkable. Meanwhile, if Gazans ever respond to Israeli aggression, it's portrayed as, oh, they're the aggressors. Just as Israel can bomb thousands of times in Syria, and not only that, but it's not even seen as a war. Think how crazy that is, that you can bomb a country thousands of times, and then people will say, oh, they're not at war.
Yeah.
This is the Orwellian world we live in, where the U.S. is waging 7 wars internationally without approval from Congress. The U.S. has 800 foreign military bases, has presence throughout the world, and its allies, like Israel, that it protects at the UN Security Council with a veto, it lets its allies, Saudi Arabia and Israel, just destroy the region, just kill millions of people, just destroy all of Yemen, just turn this country into rubble, and starve millions of people to death, and the U.S. is preventing anything from happening.